Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
All righty. Today we have this wonderful evening. Thank you, everyone who's joining us or listening in. That we have Neil. How do you say your last name, Neil?
It's Twa.
Neil, it's great to have you here. I'm so grateful.
Little glitch in the matrix, and we're on our way.
Yeah, you have quite a story to share with our audience. You've reinvented yourself authentically to go from a seven-figure seller on Amazon, generating over $100 million and taking it to multiple e-commerce that you took to exit. But you didn't start there. You started somewhere totally different. Share a little bit with our audience where you came from and how you reinvented yourself.
Yeah, I will, as I mentioned to you, and when we got in the green room originally, I'll try to leave out anything that maybe my mom finds interesting, and we'll keep to the basics here. One of the things we just discussed and kind of getting into the flow here was musical creativity. And one of the things that we talked a little bit about in my story is that I had gone to school on a music scholarship. I'd actually played classical jazz, went all state in Oregon, and then got picked up by a little university, a liberal arts university out of Iowa. So I moved from Oregon to Iowa right after I left high school. And that really set me on a very interesting path because I thought I was going to be a musician. I loved Wynton Marsalis. I loved jazz, played in the jazz band, and played in the classical as well, and loved the technicality of the classical, which fulfilled one little creativity in my brain. And then, of course, the jazz and improvisation was actually where I really felt was my strong suit, and really, really enjoyed that a lot. But that led to the creative brain thinking and movement, and really the structure of school for me at that time was just too constricting. I was dying. I was playing the entrepreneurial game a little on the side. We opened a little website called Bargain Guys when I was in college to make some side cash, and we were basically connecting people on the campus with products. It was kind of like like eBay for just the university, and it was called Bargain Guys. And so I got my first taste of e-com and connectivity while I was playing with that. And I actually thought I might head off to Amazon and try to get a job when I decided that I really wanted to get out of school because they weren't going to finish teaching me about e-com. And I was like, teach me about e-com and teach me about the internet and business. And I'm kind of dating myself because this was just when this was all coming online and being brand new. And they basically told me, hey, we don't have anything like that here right now. So you need to go figure it out. So I jumped out of college. And I said, well, what can I do? How can I make this work? And I actually got picked up by a little consulting company in Missouri. And so I left Iowa, went to Missouri, and I started teaching myself how to program HTML and building little websites. And this little consultancy was helping companies with websites, and it was helping banks with technical systems and stuff, and cut my teeth on that and actually found out I was pretty good at that. I got hired away by a contracting firm in Kansas that actually put me on with Sprint. They're in the Midwest, big company. And I was doing kind of a knowledge management thing. It was really about how to take knowledge that's tacit or implicit and get it into a system, and then have it be able to be consumed by people who were in the support services component. And then this great opportunity appeared out of nowhere, and it was called Sprint PCS. And they were mobile, launching a mobile phone. And I got to see the first phone, and they said, hey, you want to come over and be a part of this new operation? We'll give you a job. I was contractor and working hourly at that point, and I was doing, pretty decent for a 21-year-old kid with no degree. I was making like $30 an hour. And so they said, hey, why don't you come over and run this new division? And it's going to be mobile, and we've got all these website things, and we need you to kind of organize it all. And you were building this knowledge thing at Sprint. Can you come over and build this thing with us? And I said, okay, well, let's go give that a shot. So I took that job, and 5 years later, I built up a knowledge management platform for Amazon, helped them launch, for Sprint, and helped them launch the very first one. IBM was a part of the later half of that project, and one of the principals there picked up and saw what I was doing and said, hey, why don't you fly out to Armonk and teach other people within IBM and other clients in IBM how to do what you did at Sprint? And I said, cool. So they offered me a job. So with no degree, background in liberal arts and music, I dove into IBM, and I was there for almost 5 years. And I got to travel the world, hang out with some really cool, super smart people, and work on some crazy things like the Watson supercomputer and human machine language learning and artificial intelligence for the support industry, customer support industry. And I found myself with some super smart people wondering, how in the world did I get here? As I look back on it now, it's very clear that one of the gifts I was given and the abilities was to network and communicate and be able to bring two disparate ideas and two different parties and actually get them to understand the benefits of what each of them was doing and be able to bring those two totally different things together. And when I learned how to do that really well is kind of who I am, actually. And so I just applied that and realized that was one of the reasons why that was successful. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've been playing this little side hustle thing. I had game server, running on side game servers where multiplayer gaming was happening and people were talking to each other and playing game servers. And I had 20 of them running out of Texas while I was working at IBM. So I'd always had that kind of entrepreneurial flair. And so when 2007 rolled around, they said, hey, you want to do something new or do you want to go to Argentina? I said, I'd like to do something new. So again, I kind of reinvented myself. I went out and started business consulting and management consulting under my own name. And within,
so can I stop you there? So when you had that moment where you said, I'm going to reinvent myself.
Yeah, I had an opportunity.
What was the aha moment for that? I mean,
I'd gotten bored. I'd gotten bored with what I was doing. I wasn't challenged.
Yeah.
I said, let me go challenge myself and see what I can do. Right. Let me go start my own company. There's a challenge. Right. Yeah. And I had the opportunity to do that. And I said, okay, let's give it a shot. I took the severance. I took the early, quote unquote, early retirement, and I went after it. And right after that, life just threw me a bunch of curveballs. I just gotten married. 7 months into our marriage, we found out we were pregnant with our first child. My wife had a lot of complications with it, and she was an RN by trade. And so she was doing a lot of stuff at the hospital and traveling around with travel nursing, and then realized she was going to have to go on bed rest. So after I left my job and got married and found out we were pregnant, she quit her job too, because she couldn't go anymore. And so I was like, wow, okay. So in the span of 1 year, we've left my job, got no income, started a company that hasn't really made it yet. And my wife is no longer working and we're pregnant. So yay.
Talk about stress.
Talk about a lot of stress. And on top of the medical issues that she was having, which was laughable now, not so funny then. But we worked our way through all that. And actually IBM came back and made me a client and paid me about 4 times an hour what they were originally paying me as an employee, as a contractor, and said, bring in 2 or 3 other people. We need you to come save a project in Columbus, Ohio that's bombing. We need you to come save it. And so I went back, and for 2 years, I was contracting with IBM on various different products and projects, and helped them deliver the 2010 census with my team and IBM, which was interesting. But then I said, okay, this is boring too. So what do I do now? How do I change it up again? Yeah. And I had this experience now building companies within companies. I had obviously made a number of clients and beyond IBM, and was doing great with that. I had always played in the internet online space a bit. I just never really fully did much with it. And at that point I thought, okay, let's see what we can do. And this guy introduced himself to me and he said, hey, I do mobile marketing. I said, mobile marketing. Okay, what the heck does that even mean? He said, well, I'm getting people to install these mobile apps on their phone, and this company's paying me for every person who installs this. I said, that's interesting. And I said, what is that called? He said, it's affiliate marketing. It's like, okay, affiliate marketing. Let's see what that looks like. So I found out I had an aptitude. The creativity side of me loved writing different scripts and campaigns. The other side of my technical brain liked the mechanism we were doing, even though it was just spreadsheets. There was no mobile interfaces and Facebook ads and Google ads and that kind of stuff to the level that you could get on mobile. So we were literally uploading spreadsheets into the back end of these mobile companies and finding out if we were successful or not. And once we found out,
I'm thinking though, can I stop you there? Yeah. Because you said when you had started your businesses and you first left off, that you were not making money. But I'm thinking there had to be a moment where you reinvented yourself and said, hey, what happened inside? What were the wheels turning that had you say, okay, I got to switch gears and get into this new realm?
Well, it was that epiphany of like, what am I actually doing? Am I the management consulting person? Am I the business owner? Am I the salesperson? Like, where am I actually in all this? And it suddenly realized that I was trying to play, the management consultant role that I originally done, when in actuality, I needed to be a salesperson. And I'm like, you know what? I got to be a seller first in all things. And it took about 8 months for me to come to that epiphany. I know that might seem really odd to people listening to this, and maybe it's not, but it was just that moment of realization that I'm playing the wrong role in my own company. I need to really be the salesperson. And the moment that kind of struck me, I started really reaching out to people and inquiring about what was going on. And then, of course, guess what? I started making sales and getting consulting gigs and started getting more business than I could handle, and trying then obviously to run the business at the same time I was selling, which was finding more people to go deliver the projects that I was closing. So like any business person, I just found that I had a great aptitude for the relationship driven side component of business. I had been selling at IBM's level to their clients. I just, I didn't have that moment of recognition that, I need to be doing the same thing in my own business. And that really sounds obvious when you hear it, but it wasn't obvious to me at that point. So I'm like, okay, I'm a salesperson. So what do I sell? It was, let's sell the projects. Let's sell the business. Let's get that running. So when I heard about that mobile marketing thing, it's like, okay, I'm selling again. At this time, I'm selling mobile apps. I'm not selling consulting. So I'm like, okay, well, how do I sell mobile apps? And so that's what I started working on. And I realized it wasn't exactly the same. I launched about 300 campaigns before I made my first sale. I spent a lot of time banging that down the pipe, trying to figure out what would get somebody to install a mobile app. And it's a little more difficult, I think, than people realize. At least it was for me. So I said,
it's
okay.
interesting you say that, though, because that's exactly what a lot of new business is going through. And anyone listening in today who's starting a new business will be going through just that. They're doing all these different modes, setting up their website, doing this, doing that.
All
when really,
these different
when
little
you're a new
things,
business, it's just being a salesperson to start with.
Sales fixes everything. Yes,
right.
The mentor taught me that later on, and finally it banged it into my head. It was like, sales fixes everything. It doesn't matter how fancy your business card is, or even exactly how your elevator pitch is delivered, or your website needs to be really fun or whatever. It really gets down to, do you can fill a need with someone else's problem, find a solution, and convince them that you have the best one, and get them to buy it. And actually, that's what I finally learned how to do. If I just relied on websites and technical mechanics, I would have gone back to a job. I would have made it in business, because that's not what was making me money. What was making me money was understanding the customer. And so what I really realized is when I finally had that moment of epiphany, it's kind of like, well, who am I selling to and what can I provide? And once I realized, I had this really kind of unique skill set that no one else did, who do I sell it to? Who's my avatar, my customer, my opportunity? And the moment I was able to get in front of them and say, well, these are the things I did, here's what I could do, that's when opportunity met sales. And all of a sudden, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Once I hit that 101 campaign on my mobile ads, when I was really, going to make this thing work, it was just a moment of epiphany of what actually worked. And then literally every campaign I launched after that became successful. And when I realized it was overtaking the income, it was less time and energy than my contracts. I started letting my contracts go. And just started working more on the mobile affiliate application side. At that point, I was making $100 a day in profit, and then $500 a day, and $750 a day, and $1,000 a day in profit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this from an internet connection on my laptop. I don't have to travel. I don't have to go anywhere. And I kind of just pursued whatever opportunity I could that would reach that. It wasn't like stepping back and saying, how do I become an affiliate marketer? It was kind of like, you can be an affiliate marketer. You actually figured this out. Some people say, I want to do e-com, or I want to go sell products, or I want to be a podcaster, or I want to go do these things. And in reality, you have to look at it a little bit differently. To invent that person, you need to understand what it is they're trying to do, and then decide whether or not it really fits well into your aptitude, skill sets, background, and understanding of who it is that needs that from you or wants it from you. And then you can sell it to them. And then they'll actually be willing to buy it.
I love that you say that, because a lot of people start out, I do the best, knitted hats or whatever it is. And it's great hat. But, I have this passion for this. But again, is it something in the marketplace that people really need and want and are willing to pay for?
That's right. And willing to pay for it. And it doesn't always have to be super unique. It just has to be a slightly different variation of something that's already working. And I kind of took that and started to apply it at the next thing that I was doing. And I was out in Oklahoma by this point. My wife's family was from Missouri, and I said, let's set up shop in Oklahoma. We bounced off Colorado, and she couldn't find a job. And we were there in Denver for 9 months, and she had graduated. So I said, let's go to Colorado, where we set up shop. and we're closer to family. And so I thought, okay, well, there's a lot of oil and gas, and I'm doing this mobile stuff, and it only takes me a couple hours a day. What else should I be doing? What else could I do? Diversify or revenue streams and that kind of thing. And so I got with a couple of gentlemen who were doing some really cool stuff with oil and gas technologies, specifically a technology that is probably the most amazing patented technology no one's ever going to hear about. It crashed and burned. And when I realized it happened is we were getting investment funds and my partners were cooking the books. I just didn't know it. They had 2 sets of books. I'd leveraged a lot of the money that I'd made in affiliate marketing into this business and the startup, along with some others who had invested. And I got to the point where once I stepped into the office one Monday and I just happened across this report and it was different than the one I had originally seen. And I thought, this isn't right. So I pulled up mine and I pulled up theirs and I said, oh my gosh, there's 2 different books here. Funds are going one way and they're not going the other. And it kind of explains where the money was going and why it wasn't coming to me and why we were running out of money. And I thought, okay, this is a very bad thing. So I said, I need to get out of this. And I went to a lawyer and they said, the best way for you to get out of this is to have those guys do what's called an indemnification of you and the business. And then you're gonna have to go bankrupt, because once you do that, you'll have certain protections and that won't blow back on you. So I said, oh, great. So I went bankrupt and that was fun. So once that process was finishing, I was like, well, do I go back to the affiliate marketing thing that I was doing previously? Do I do something different? What do I do next with myself? I had experience driving traffic and leads. I had worked with physical products and I'd worked with development R&D. I was on patents and I had all this experience in life. And I thought, okay, do I want to do something different? Do I want to go back to something I was doing? At this point, my whole life had been always about moving forward. So it's kind of like, what's the next thing? I don't want to go backwards and do something from the past. And it just so happened that opportunity met that inclination. And a friend introduced me to Amazon and said, hey, there's this thing called FBA, Fulfilled by Amazon. I'm like, what is that? Tell me about that. And he said, well, it's physical products, which you know about, and it's got all this traffic and they got products. You can stick your products on there and people will buy them. It's kind of like an eBay, only they do it more for like brands and you don't have to ship any of the products. Amazon ships them all. I thought, well, that's really clever. Yeah. Because I'd had the affiliate marketing and I wasn't dealing with the products myself. I was just moving products for the other client. And so I thought, okay, well, I understand that concept. So how do I just do the same sort of thing with Amazon that I was kind of doing with the mobile stuff without touching any of the product? And that's when I realized, that Amazon itself has this engine. It's a big like search engine, right, for products. It's kind of like Google, but for products. Yeah. And when I realized that, I thought, okay, well, I was building these at IBM. I was learning what these guys were building these engines and stuff and the technology, and I understood how it worked. And I thought, I wonder if Amazon's, product engine will respond like the knowledge management systems we were building at IBM. And so I started to play with it. And sure enough, I was like, look at that. This kind of responds the same way. It's learning kind of the same way. It wants me to tell it certain things and do certain things. And when it does, it rewards me. And I thought, well, this is fascinating. So for 2 years, I kind of reverse engineered their platform. Not as much as I could have if I was inside the company, but enough to realize that when I did certain things with the system, with products, I could pretty much beat anybody by ranking my product inside of Amazon. And at that point, when you ranked inside of Amazon, there was a lot of traffic, a lot of people who want to buy a lot of things really fast. You think it's a big deal, then it was a two-lane highway when I started in 2012. It's a 7-lane highway now. And so for 8 years, we've been riding that. We've been launching products, launching brands, selling company after company. We've been coaching people to build brands. We've had some amazing verified case studies on our site. You can check it out where people have made $1 million a month in 4 months and $5 million a month in 9 months. Is a lot to be said about e-commerce. And when I found that groove, I could keep reinventing myself, if you will, through different brands and products inside of Amazon, because there's just so much to do. You're never going to do it all in a lifetime.
And you've launched over 1,000 stores, correct? And
we've launched over 1,000 products in our various brands. And I've taken out 1,000 different students to market in their products and tens of hundreds of products. Our software we developed in 2014 has launched over 60,000 FBA products since we went out and had clients do that. So we have a lot of
This is amazing, Neil. This is amazing because I'm guessing a lot of new people listening in might just be, hey, I want to start a business. What could I possibly do? And this sounds like something that's possible that they could start. How do they get started with you and work
Sure.
with Voltage?
So Voltage digital marketing handles the launching, it handles operations and growth and acquisition of brands on Amazon, specifically a focus on FBA brands. So at voltagedm.com, you can go check out a little video that talks about kind of how we do that with folks. We work with them for 12 months. We ensure that we help them select their products. We do something that I wish someone would have done for me when I got started at the beginning of this journey. And that was we act like an incubator. So when they come into our business, they get our graphics people, our sourcing agents. They work with us to develop the right brand. I take them over to Gold Mountain and keep them from panning in Dirt River, which is a big component of the success we've had for our clients, because we know that there's certain places they should go. There's certain product types they should go after. There's the data criteria, because it is a very data-driven business model. And with all this product data, we now know where to go with the data. And it's just a repetitive process in our game plan. So we show them how to execute that with them and get their products launched in the market to ensure that they get a successful move. They're not off gambling on products. They're not breaking piggy banks and stealing 401ks to get this out the door with products they're not even confident are going to sell well. So we help them understand exactly the criteria to support the business, to support the growth, and more importantly, to pay them profits. Because revenue is vanity and profit is sanity. You know the saying, right? And cash flow is king. Yeah, so many people come to me who have tried this on their own, and 3 or 4 months into it, they're like, I put too much into a product. Amazon stinks at selling all my sales, and I'm barely making like $1 or $5 in profit, and I can't pay myself on that. And it's kind of a same sort of sad story, unfortunately. But we play a very different level of game now in Amazon, and we teach people how to build a real business. We call it our platinum principle. And that is the understanding that a business built from the very beginning with the end in mind is worth way more when you sell it than any time during the business building phase. So these businesses are grown to 12 to 18 months. Once they mature past a certain revenue and profit line, they're sellable in those brands. And those brands can be hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in sales at the time you put it up for sale. So we kind of start people down that path and really help them understand how to build an entire business and then repeat the process and do exactly what we do, which is build these brands up and sell them.
What I love about this is you've done all the legwork. So people don't have to struggle like you did in the beginning, figuring out what sells, where to go, who are your clients. You show them, here's what's sellable, here's what people want. We've done the legwork, we set you up, and you don't have to go broke doing it, but at the same time, you get to build a viable business. This sounds like exactly what people want. I have it right down there at the bottom of the screen. So anyone listening in, you've thought about starting a business, you didn't know what you could possibly get started doing, this might be your avenue to start your first business. So I just have to thank you, Neil, for sharing this great wisdom today with our audience and coming to our third Unleash Your Story live stream. It's been a pleasure having you this evening.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you giving me opportunity to share that with everybody out there. And hopefully there was some value gained from somebody listening tonight.
I know there was. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.